everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Right Bench Pod. My name is Julia Kennedy. And guys, we did it. We got a guest booked for this episode. It's a great interview. I can't wait for you guys to tune in and listen. And it's with somebody that played a really big part of my life and my college softball experience. And it means a lot to me. So let's go ahead right off the bat and tune in and take a listen to what we got. We have Coach Morgan Zerkle with us here for a quick interview. Coach Morgan Zerkle, or Coach Zerkle as I know her, she is in her third season as the head coach for the Marshall Thundering Herd, coaching now at her alma mater, such a proud West Virginian. Is that what they say?
Close enough.
West Virginian. I don't know if I just made that up. I know her because she was my coach at Miami of Ohio, Miami University. Had a lot of success there. Also has had a couple stints representing Team USA as well as playing pro. So welcome onto the pod. So excited to have you on here.
Thanks for having me, Julia. Excited to get to talk with you again.
Yeah, of course. So let's just kind of dive into your team right now. Like I said, third season here with Marshall. How do you think your team has kind of handled this season up to this point? I mean, you guys right now 9-8 record, but if you look at your losses, more than half of your losses are against Power Four teams.
Yeah, I think coming into this season, we knew we were going to have a tough preseason, but I don't think we realized how tough it was going to be because every mid-major we've played has been a really good team. And I think that's a great challenge that we've stepped up against. This past weekend was really fun to see them win the weekend, but yeah, it's been quite a challenge, and I'm proud of how they've handled it. It's been a lot of fun.
You talked about a lot of even the teams that you didn't schedule that were Power Fours that were mid majors. You guys have, like you said, played a lot of competitive mid majors. Two big wins over Charlotte. And Charlotte was a team that was knocking on the door of cracking open to that top 25. And you guys were able to keep them out of those rankings this week. Just talk about those two games in that series against Charlotte and what you really saw out of your team.
Yeah, we knew those were going to be tough. We're following Charlotte and seeing what they're doing. So those were huge wins. I thought our team was super focused, but confident at the same time, knowing that their offense is great, but our offense is really great too. We're top five in home runs right now, and I think to see them step up to the plate and know that okay, if they score once, we'll score again. And those are some huge, huge wins for us. Like super proud of them.
Yeah, you talk about your home run numbers right now, fifth in the nation right now with home run. I believe you guys have 32 on the season. What's the hitting philosophy going on right now over there at Marshall? What's giving you guys the ability to hit so many out of the park?
Honestly, nothing new. We've been doing the same thing that we've been doing. We just, have some power in the lineup that can get the job done. And I think when you go up there with a fearless mentality and put some barrel on good pitches, it just happens to happen. And that's what we've kind of seen. It's nothing that we preach by any means, but being on time early in the count is something that's important. And the more we're able to do that, the more we see that ball go over the fence.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at your guys' schedule for this weekend, you guys have two games against UConn, a team that you already played earlier this season. You guys gave them kind of a big whooping, 10-1 there. They're a team I actually got to broadcast one of their games, so I got to see them as well. What are some things that you are carrying over from learning that first game into this weekend?
Yeah, I think thing for us is we've seen a couple times where we really hand it to a team and then we kind of back off a little bit. So I think that'll be a point of emphasis is just because we beat UConn once, hey, we got two more games to take care of, and we saw that with like FIU, who is a really good team. We gave them their first loss of the season, and then we didn't play as well our second time around with them. Same thing with Boston. We hit them hard and then we slacked our second game. So that'll be a big emphasis for us is just, hey, don't let up. Like We beat them once, but we have two more games that we need to take care of. And trying to see every pitcher step up to the plate and beat different offenses is something I want to see. If we play a game three times like UConn, like preparing for conference when we're going to play a team three times, and how do we win all of those games? So that'll be a good challenge for us this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And after that UConn game, you guys play Liberty, another really tough, really competitive mid-major. What are you kind of seeing out of them? And then kind of talk about like the mid-major landscape as a whole, kind of what role it plays right now in college softball.
Yeah, I know Liberty's, having a little bit of a down start, but they're still a good team. You look at their hitters, you look at their pitchers, they're still a good team. So we're definitely going to need to bring our A game to get that win because I'm sure they're hungry for some wins just like anyone. Um, and I think it's awesome to see a lot of mid-majors stealing a lot of wins. I think just earlier, Boston, who, we put some good games with, beat Duke. And I think that's awesome to show that there is still parity amongst all the conferences. And that softball isn't a sport that has to be super divided, but there's enough talent to go around. And with the right coaching, the right mindset, like a lot of teams can be beat. And that's just fun to see. That's what you want. That's what you want in the NCAA tournament. And to see it happening a lot right now is pretty exciting.
Yeah, and you guys as well, having a great season as mid-major. You guys had a Big Ten win over Iowa. So did Miami University. They've had wins over three different Big Ten teams. And Central Michigan also had a win over Minnesota as well. So it's really interesting to see all these, schools taking down Power Fours, kind of like it's nothing. And I agree, it gives a lot of parity into the sport, which is kind of fun to see as a viewer. Taking a look at your roster, is there anybody that maybe surprised you this season, maybe kind of stepped up in a way that you didn't expect?
For sure. I think, we did have some people who we expected to carry it. And then we had some people that, were wild cards. We had no idea what to expect. And Ava Blake's been one of those. She was a freshman who pretty much just pinch ran last year, but was a super hard worker. And to see her step up this year and to get into the DP spot and then, work her way into right field because she's hitting the ball so much. Been fun to see some young people step up and in big ways as well.
What's the transition like, coming from an assistant coach where, yeah, you had some authority, in an aspect, but you weren't making those decisions of starting somebody like that to now you have the ability, hey, you see somebody working hard, you have the ability to now put them in the lineup and start that. What's that kind of transition been like for you?
Yeah, I feel like the hardest thing going from an assistant to head coach is as an assistant, everyone likes you. You know that you're cheering for them. You get to work like individually with them a lot to try to work on their skills and you're really focused on their skill development. Whereas a head coach, you want that, right? I still teach hitting. I'm still there to develop their skills. But once it comes to game time, it's a lot harder because you are making those tough decisions and choosing essentially who you believe in for that game to get the job done. So that's been tough because you believe in everyone. You really do. You see what they put in at practice. You see what they're capable of. So it's difficult, but really, just trying to have that balance of, hey, I have seen you in practice. I know you can do this. Like, even if you don't get your opportunity every single game, like, I still believe in you when I'm giving it to you in that moment, whether it's a pinch hit or a good matchup. And I think our team's done a good job of when they have got their moments, like, done what they have to. I mean, we had catchers that were hurt at the beginning that one catcher had to catch all 7 games in a row, I think, and then she got hurt, and the other catcher had to catch 5 games in a row. So to see people just step up when they're needed has been really cool.
What are your expectations for your team for this season in the Sun Belt? The Sun Belt is one of those conferences, the mid-major conference, where it's just super competitive all around, right? You guys are a top contender. Troy in past seasons have been really good. You also have Texas State in there. You also have James Madison. Right now, Coastal Carolina is looking good. They had that big win over Arizona a couple weeks ago. I mean, it's kind of a dogfight of a conference. Just kind of talk about what your expectations are for your team going through that.
I think as a coach, if you're even competing, like your expectation is first place. And last year in second, we honestly didn't expect that, but we saw what we were capable of, and it's just raising your bar. But it is a dogfight every week in the Sun Belt. A new team is like climbing, and it's switching back and forth. So we know like we're gonna have to be consistently great, not just good sometimes and great occasionally. We're gonna have to be consistently great, and I do think we have more pitching depth this year, and we have the bats to do it. It's just, will they show up and do it? And I feel good about just the quality of people we have on this team, and that when the road gets tough, I think they will figure out a way to win, and that's a good feeling to have.
You talk about how your team does have a lot of pitching depth. Just kind of watching college softball right now and kind of what it stands for. And tell me if you're seeing something different. Like, please give me your opinion and your thoughts on this. But just as a viewer right now, I feel like I'm struggling to see a whole lot of pitching depth within teams and programs. It's, hey, this is their ace, and this girl's going to be lights out for them, and she's going to carry them, game one. And then, these preseason tournaments where sometimes you're playing 4 or 5 games in a weekend, you get to your two, three, four pitcher. If you're lucky to have four pitchers on your staff or even more, and then the landscape of the game just completely changes without that ace on the mound. Is that something that you agree that you're seeing right now or disagree? And why are a lot of teams struggling with depth, do you think?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is playing 5 games a weekend. Like even your, quote unquote ace is seeing a lot of action, and it may not be full games, but I know we were guilty of it this past weekend that one of our top pitchers pitched in every single game, and we didn't really intentionally try to do that. We didn't want to do that, but we wanted to get the wins, and having those wins over Charlotte and Boston and good teams, like we used a lot of our pitchers. So I think that's part of it, is just there's so many games. Like, why does softball play 5 games a weekend? I don't know. But with that, you really have to see how deep your pitching staffs are. And when the next person in line can't get the job done, then you see that hurt you. And against other matchups too, with double headers, if you're facing, Marshall and Charlotte back to back, like who do you pitch your ace against? So a team is also seeing, maybe not someone's best as well. So it'll be interesting to see how conference then shakes up when it's only 1 game a day and 3 games a weekend. I think you'll see a little more, maybe a little less high scoring games than we've seen a lot lately. But yeah, the pitching depth with this many games is hard. And I think that's a tribute to also like when pitchers are good, they're transferring these days, and that's kind of sad to see as well. So a lot of kids don't want to stay and develop; they want to get good and jump, and I feel like that's kind of sad. But we've seen some good pitchers develop this past year in our program, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, that's good to see you have players that want to stay in your program. I think that's very telling of you as a coach and also your staff as a whole. Um, Kind of looking away from Marshall, are there any teams that you have been like closely watching this season that you kind of have your eye on? And I know it's like kind of hard to say, especially because we're not even at conference play yet. But is there anybody that's kind of caught your eye a little bit?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, we've been watching a lot of games. I mean, focusing on the Sun Belt, which is obviously our biggest competition, we've really just been following like Louisiana and Coastal. I think those are two teams. Texas State's always up there, but they're leaving our conference after this year. So really, how do we match up against Louisiana and Coastal? And they've had some big wins, and I hate that we don't have some more big wins, but I'm also really proud of the teams that we've beat. So it's just like, kind of checking on those people that, hey, in a few weeks, like we got to take it to them. So that's kind of where we've been following, and Louisiana, I think, had that win over Mizzou or someone like that. And it's good for our conference, though. I think, competing in the best conference is something I want to do. So I'm happy about that for our conference for sure. Um, and really, I've just been following all the mid majors that have been putting it to the Power Four programs, because that's what I'm really passionate about is making a statement wherever you're at, and I love supporting the underdog. So it's been fun following the past month.
Yeah, I started calling that my mid-major magic. I've like created it like a segment where I just talk about my mid-majors. And it's fun. I get a lot of good feedback about it, so that's cool. Is there any program that's maybe shocked you for better or worse based on their performance so far?
Hmm. I mean, everyone talks about the Big Ten, and I think just the bottom of the Big Ten can. I thought they'd continue to elevate, and I feel like they're still the Big Ten, and they're still the bottom of the Big Ten. And um, I know for me, when I'm talking to recruits, why go play and be the bottom of your conference when you can compete for a championship at a mid-major level? And that's something I love. But I love seeing some of those bottom of the conference teams get beat, and it's not necessarily a surprise, but I'm glad it's still happening.
Yeah, especially like if you go to a low bottom Big Ten school, the chances of you playing in regionals is like very slim. Versus you go to a mid-major, a really successful one, you win your conference tournament every year, you get that automatic bid, like you have a much better chance of going to play in regionals, which is what everybody is competing for anyway. So it's just a cool opportunity as well. Talk about a little bit of your staff. You have Riley Blampede on there. She's currently playing pro, I think, with the New York Rise, I believe. And even a lot of members of your staff in previous years have played pro alongside you as a part of Athletes Unlimited. Is that something that you look for when you're hiring people? Are, you know, coaches that are currently playing pro and still developing themselves?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's something I specifically target, but I do love giving my athletes role models for themselves. And I think some of the best, softball players are ones that continue to play just because it shows me that they love the sport and they're invested in it. And when I hear like Riley's invested in coaching as well and really wanted to do it, that was something that, drew me to her is that one, she's continuing to grow. She had a great pro season last summer and a lot better than even like in college. So I love that she believed in that development pathway because that's what we are at mid majors is developing you to be better every year. So that was something that really aligned with my values. And then Coach Allie, who's been with me for 3 years now, she played pro for a couple years, and she continues to like grow in her knowledge every year, whether it's coaching a different area on the field or stepping up and taking on something else. And then I have a newer pitching coach in Drew Calloway who, um, didn't have a ton of experience coming in, but came from a really, a high level Arizona program. And he's just hungry to be good at what he does. And I think, give me young athletes that are hungry to grow in the profession. And I'm excited to give them opportunities in that space.
Yeah, and you yourself, obviously, still developing yourself, still working hard, playing pro with Athletes Unlimited. Kind of talk about what we're going to see out of them, come this summer. They've done the expansion where they're doing different cities and talk like that. Do you like the new layout? Do you like the new setup? And I have a question for you as well. I don't even know this. Previously, in times with Athletes Unlimited, right, they did kind of like the funky scoreboard kind of scoring. Is that going to continue in the city setup, or is it just going to be like regular games?
So our regular season in June, July is regular games. You're on your team. I'm on the Bandits all summer. And the first year for that was this past summer. So got to compete with the Bandits all June and July. And then we had a championship that we competed for. Um, so that was regular format. And then in August, we have what is now called an All-Star Cup. And that is, they pick all-stars to compete in that. And this past year with 4 teams, it wasn't as elite, I guess you would say, because there wasn't a big enough pool of athletes. But now this summer with six teams, it's going to be a little bit more of, I guess, an award to be chosen as an all-star and get to compete in that all-star cup, which then is the point system. So we'll have the regular season where fans can get behind their specific city, their specific team, have that team competing for a championship. And then they'll be able to watch the all-stars in the all-star cup with the point system compete as individuals. So I think it's a good mix of both worlds where we still get our team, our regular season, but just like MLB, there's some all-star game and those sort of things. Athletes can get rewarded for competing well all regular season.
And what are your thoughts on having like all these different layouts with cities all across the country?
I mean, that's what you want, right? You want to broaden your network as far as you can and get fans in different areas. And, it's only six cities right now, but the six cities are pretty spread out that you can kind of maybe gravitate towards one or gravitate towards a college athlete that you really liked. So I love that you can actually get behind a team and a face now. Hopefully it continues to grow in the future, but I think it's a really awesome start to at least be closer to the MLB type league that we all want.
Last question for me here. You competed this winter with Australia, with Team USA. Talk about that experience that you had, number one, and number two. Do you see yourself training to try to make that roster for the 2028 Summer Olympics?
Yeah, I think USA was something that when it wasn't in the 24 Olympics was really hard. It was almost like I kind of gave up on that dream a little bit. But now seeing the past summer that I was able to have with the Bandits and really peak offensively, it kind of sparked a little bit of that dream back in me. So then getting able to be picked to go to Australia and compete with USA, that definitely fueled the fire a little bit, just playing with such elite athletes at the highest level. It's so fun. You learn so much. I can take it back to my players. And that's what competitors do. Like they want to be at the top of their game all the time. So I definitely think there's a little bit of that dream coming back. I'm in the pool of athletes, at least as of right now. So I think depending on how this summer goes with the Bandits and some future USA international competitions, I'll have a better idea. But it's on the table for right now, so we'll see.
That's so exciting. That's awesome. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks so much for hopping on the podcast. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day, and we'll be following you along the rest of the season.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Well, I hope you guys really enjoyed that conversation. Hopefully, you learned something new, whether it was about college softball, from the pros to the Olympics, or even just about Marshall in general. Always a great time talking with Zerkle over there. But let's go ahead and check out some of the new top 25 rankings that we see. No changes in the top three spots there, with Tennessee being the front runner. We do see the Nebraska Cornhuskers making the jump up to fourth place. And Virginia Tech, they also had a huge jump this week in the rankings, going all the way from 20th to 12th. So big time for them. Oregon, they just kind of slowly keep falling down that ladder in the rankings. Yeah, to think at the beginning of the season, they were ranked fifth. Now they're already all the way down to 17th, just kind of slowly making that climb down. Duke fell 6 spots from 14th to 20th. And they also recently lost a game to Boston. So I could see them even falling a little bit more down in those rankings as well. And then we still see Virginia, South Carolina, Arizona State, Washington in those spots. And then we see Grand Canyon, a mid-major there, mid-major Magic finally cracking open the top 25 there. We've got some really great games to watch this weekend. Fourth ranked Nebraska is going to take on 16th ranked Oklahoma State. That is going to be a 3-game series. So it's going to be really interesting to see the different pitching rotations that we see. I think one of the biggest things looking at Oklahoma State is, yes, they have Ruby Malin, but who else in the circle can they have really step up and be elite against a really great Nebraska team and kind of chunk out and kind of consume as many innings as possible in the circle? I think that's going to be kind of the big tell for them. We also see unranked Michigan taking on 21st ranked Virginia, UVA. I think this is a great test. Michigan, the past couple years, they've been kind of in and out of the rankings, not really highly ranked, in that 20 to 25 range. And majority of the reasons why is they've just kind of struggled in the Zerkle. Their pitching staff has not been elite as it used to be in previous years and previous seasons, and they've really struggled with that. Even though they're not in the top 25 rankings, they are still a really quality program and a really quality team. So they're definitely a team that I could see taking down 21st ranked UVA, if they kind of fire on all cylinders. They're still a very competitive team and a very competitive program. So that's a game that I would definitely be paying attention to for a possible upset. We also see Penn State taking on first ranked Tennessee. There's like a lot of chatter about this game. If I'm going to be so honest on this podcast, which is probably why you're listening, for me to be so brutally and bluntly honest, I don't understand why this game is getting a whole lot of attention. Penn State is kind of a team at the bottom of the Big Ten, like you heard Zerkle talking about. They're not in those top, rankings or standings within the Big Ten. I'm not sure why it's getting the attention that it is. Maybe I'm the one that's just stupid and missed something and they're all talking about something that I just completely missed. That very well could be true. That very well could be the point. I'm still going to be watching this game. I'm still going to be following along. Still going to be seeing and wondering in the back of my mind while I'm watching this game in the entire time, like, why are people so interested into this game? What are they seeing that I'm not? So I'll still be paying attention to it, and it very well could be a game that we recap come next week on the podcast. But just interesting to see a lot of people kind of talking about that series and hyping it up. Lastly, a really good matchup that I think I'm going to be really paying attention to is Long Beach State versus 14th ranked Arizona. Long Beach State has always been a super competitive program in college softball, and it's a team that people just don't think about, they don't talk about, and they kind of fall under the radar. But I mean, you look at them last week, they knocked off Oklahoma. And this isn't the first time that they've made some big noise like this. And they're playing an Arizona team who already this season lost to another mid-major. They lost to Coastal Carolina. So it'll be kind of interesting to see, how this game unfolds. This could be a game where Arizona just takes care of business and completely dominates. Or this could be a game where we see Long Beach State really, really step up and have another great weekend, just taking down those Power 4 teams that me and Zerkle love to see so often. Lastly, for you guys here, I will be calling games this weekend. I will be calling games at South Carolina. I'm headed up to Columbia. Was originally supposed to just call a single game on Sunday for the Gamecocks against Queen's University, but because the weather's looking a little shady, they moved Saturday's game to Sunday, and so I'll be calling the doubleheader of South Carolina versus Queens on Sunday as well. If you want to tune in and listen, cool. That's where you'll find me. If not, totally cool. I'll probably talk about it on the pod next week anyway. Thank you guys so much for listening, tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the interview. I really liked that. It was a super fun conversation. Got to learn a lot. I'm hoping to do more of those throughout this season because I think they just bring a whole other level to the podcast for you guys that really is just interesting and really enjoying to listen to. So thank you guys so much. Go watch games this weekend. Go support women in sports. We'll catch you next week.